What do you think the most uncomfortable truth about women is that's rarely spoken about?
That women are 1,000 times more narcissistic than males. I don't think, I think the entire human species is a narcissistic species. The whole species is narcissistic. But I believe that the most uncomfortable truth for the average person is that women are actually narcissistic, more narcissistic than males. It's not that males are not narcissistic, it's that women are 1,000 times more narcissistic. I've never heard a saying.
Let me say this off bat. I don't agree. I've been adamant about this on this channel that men and women equally have a sin issue. And I also think sin, and there's an equal rights to sinning. So the sin of narcissism is something that men and women can grab hold of, equally. Women aren't 1,000 times more narcissistic, and men aren't 1,000 times less narcissistic. And I think this word is also overused. But I want to just lay that foundation. So as she says what she say, I'll come back and give my thoughts, but I completely disagree. And a lot of times what she's probably going to do, she made this point and she's going to try to build upon this point with some statement to try to make it seem like, see, through this statement, women are more narcissistic. But we're going to let it play. And yeah, I'll give my input at the end.
That, oh, you just have to love your father no matter what he did because that's your only dad. You only get one.
Let me rewind that
I
back.
never.
Let me rewind that back because I didn't catch that part.
Narcissistic. I've never heard a saying that, oh, you just have to love your father no matter what he did because that's your only dad. You only get one. I never hear that. I always hear it about a woman. No matter what a mother did to her children, no matter what, that's your mama. You still need to love your mom, no matter what she did. I hear women say, no matter what a woman does, a man should never put his hands on her.
Mm-hmm. And he shouldn't.
And women
believe
leave. They can do anything to you and expect that you accept it and still worship the ground they walk on. Mm-hmm. So if anything is going to improve, the truth about the psychology of women has to be revealed. It's a dark place. It's not peaches and cream because women think that they can abuse you.
Listen, this isn't anything new, man. She's probably some social media voice that people are platforming, and she said a few things like they said a broken clock is right 2 times in a day. Same thing. Yeah, I agree with some of the stuff she was saying about you don't really hear people saying, oh, that's your father, you just have to forgive him. But they will say that about the mother. I've admitted, I've said that we do live in a bias and a hypocritical society to where we openly and boldly talk about how bad men are, how bad they are as fathers. But when it comes to women, we act like we don't know that women are bad and that they're bad mothers. Yeah, so there is some truth to that. But where it goes wrong is she's saying these things to prove her point, to say that women are 1,000 times more narcissistic. And I disagree with that. Because men and women, have the free will to be that if they want. And I think men are choosing to be just like women are choosing to be. But a woman is not more inclined to be narcissistic than a man. I do think culture allows for these statements to carry a sense of truth, but it's not true at all. That no matter what a woman does or no matter what a mother does, you need to forgive her. That's not true at all. And there are people who will push back on that. And that type of thinking can make people think like, oh, that's why women is more narcissistic, but it's not. It's a sensitivity to the idea of a woman. but not necessarily the inclination of a woman being more narcissistic. That's why they think that way. I disagree. It's understanding that society has painted a bad picture of men, and they've done a good job of painting a good picture of women. So when someone says, "Oh, and you, no matter what your mother does, you always have to forgive her," they're saying that from the standpoint of the picture that society and culture has painted of women. So it's like you have this sense of innocence. You have this view of innocence when it comes to women, and like loving and nurturing when it comes to mothers. Because though they paint this picture of that, they don't do a due diligence of saying, hey, there are also women and mothers who are not good. So as a result, people will say, hey man, no matter what your mother does, or hey sis, no matter what your mother does, you just gotta forgive them. But on the flip side, because they've said things like, there's so many bad fathers, men just aren't good, it's easier for people to ignore when someone is not willing to forgive the father. They'll be like, yeah, I haven't forgiven my father for what he did. And people are like, I understand. But that's not because one gender is more inclined to be narcissistic than the other. That has a lot to do with conditioning and thinking, and or not understanding what the Bible says about all people. I said this in a video last week when another woman was trying to say that men are more dark than women, whereas this woman is saying, oh, women, the psychology of a woman is dark. She didn't say it's darker, but she's insinuated that it's darker than men. At the end of the day, the Bible says in Jeremiah, the heart of humans is deceitful and desperately wicked. It didn't say the heart of men is deceitful and desperately wicked. It didn't say the heart of women is deceitful and desperately wicked. It says the heart is talking about humans. The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who can know it? But God. The only person who knows it is God, and he's the only one who has a remedy for it. So being narcissistic is not something that women only, she didn't say that. Being narcissistic isn't something that women have a more intense inclination to be. It's just not true. They're not 1,000 times more narcissistic than men. At the end of the day, there's always a spectrum. And whether you're a man or a woman, if you're narcissistic, you're going to fall on this spectrum somewhere that has to do with somewhere along the lines of narcissism. Like you could either be an extreme narcissist or more of a, I should say, less extreme, for lack of better words. But yeah, I don't agree, and I also know when someone is trying to create a narrative and sound like a subject matter expert. That's what's going on here. This woman's trying to make it sound like she's a subject matter expert on life, and saying, women are this and men are that, or women are not this and men are not that, or women are more of this and men are less of that. Like, sis, if God say that humanity is deceitful and desperately wicked, then that's what it is. He's not saying that women are more of this than men. And when I hear people say that, I'm fully aware that most of the time, they don't have a high view of the Bible, because they want to be able to say whatever they want. They want to be able to spew whatever kind of foolishness out into these social media platforms without regard. They don't want much pushback. And a lot of times they can't include God in that, because God is a just God. He's not biased. He's not partial. He's not going to say men are better than women, or women are better than men. No, God is going to call everybody to the front of the classroom through the scriptures and say what it is. And this is not one of the things he says. He says, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. We're all guilty. We're all capable. When it comes to anger, the Bible says, don't be angry to the point of sin. It says you can experience anger, the emotions of anger, but don't let it lead you to sin. Don't be bitter. It's not saying, oh, women are more bitter than men, because, we have that statement about women to where it's like nothing's worse than a woman's scorn or her bitterness. No, have you experienced a bitter man? His rage? Man, listen, God got it right, not this woman. And a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Just because somebody say something true doesn't mean that they're right about what they're saying. And then their intentions, excuse me, their intentions aren't even pure. I need some water. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Don't forget to connect with the brand online. There's merch out there on our website, www.there'shopebrand.com. Connect with us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.